Imagine for a moment a Roman Empire that never became Christian. A world where the ancient gods of Jupiter, Mars, and Venus continue to be worshipped for centuries. It sounds like alternate history, but it almost happened. This is the story of the last pagan emperor, the man who tried to turn back the tide of history, Julian. Born in 331 AD, Flavius Claudius Julianus was a member of the Constantinian dynasty, the very family that had legalized and championed Christianity across the empire. Orphaned at a young age during a bloody political purge, Julian was raised in seclusion, far from the intrigues of the imperial court, but this isolation turned out to be a blessing in disguise. He was given an exceptional education, diving deep into Greek literature, rhetoric, and most importantly, philosophy. He fell in love with the intellectual traditions of ancient Greece and Rome, becoming a devout follower of Neoplatonism. For Julian, philosophy wasn't just an academic exercise, it was a spiritual path. He saw the traditional polytheistic religions of the Roman world, which we now call paganism, as the true foundation of Roman greatness. In his eyes, the rise of Christianity was a disaster. He believed this new faith, with its focus on an otherworldly kingdom and its rejection of the ancient gods, had weakened the empire from within, causing moral and social decay. While his family was building churches, Julian was secretly initiated into pagan mystery cults, pledging himself to the old gods. In 355 AD, his cousin, the Emperor Constantius II, needing a capable commander in the west, reluctantly appointed Julian as Caesar, a junior emperor. To everyone's surprise, the quiet scholar proved to be a brilliant military leader. He won a series of stunning victories against Germanic tribes along the Rhine frontier, earning the adoration of his soldiers. His popularity grew so much that in 361 AD, his troops proclaimed him Augustus, the senior emperor. A civil war seemed inevitable, but before the two cousins could clash, Constantius died of a fever, leaving Julian as the sole ruler of the Roman Empire. Now on the throne, Julian could finally reveal his true beliefs. He publicly declared his rejection of Christianity, a move that shocked the Roman world and earned him the nickname he is known by today, Julian the Apostate. His goal was nothing short of a complete religious revolution. He wanted to dismantle the Christian establishment that had grown so powerful over the past 50 years and restore traditional Roman paganism as the heart of the empire. But Julian's approach was surprisingly sophisticated. He knew that violent persecution, like the kind the Christians had suffered in the past, would only create martyrs and strengthen their resolve. Instead, he fought a cultural and political war. He started by revoking the special privileges that Christian clergy had enjoyed, such as tax exemptions and state funding. He passed an edict that barred Christians from teaching classical literature and philosophy, arguing that it was hypocritical for them to teach texts whose gods they rejected. This was a clever move designed to cut off the Christian intellectual elite from the core of Roman education and culture. Julian also tried to reform paganism itself. He saw its disorganization as a major weakness compared to the tightly knit structure of the Christian church. He tried to create a pagan priesthood modeled after the Christian hierarchy, with high priest overseeing provinces. He even encouraged pagan temples to engage in charity and social welfare, activities that had helped Christianity win so many converts. He was essentially trying to beat the church at its own game, creating a more organized, compassionate, and intellectually vibrant paganism that could compete for the hearts and minds of the Roman people. He wasn't just against the church. He was trying to build a better alternative. He believed in religious pluralism, but with the traditional gods firmly back in their place of honor. However, Julian's grand project was cut short. In 363 AD, just 2 years into his reign, he launched a massive military campaign against Rome's great rival, the Sassanid Persian Empire. He led a huge army deep into enemy territory, aiming for a decisive victory that would secure Rome's eastern frontier and cement his own legacy. The campaign started well, but the Romans soon found themselves overextended, with their supply lines cut off. During a chaotic skirmish on the retreat, Julian was struck by a spear. The wound was fatal, and he died a few hours later. The circumstances of his death are shrouded in mystery. Some ancient sources claim he was killed by a Persian soldier. Others, particularly Christian writers, suggested he was assassinated by one of his own Christian soldiers who saw him as a tyrant. We will likely never know the truth. On his deathbed, Julian is said to have calmly discussed the nature of the soul with his philosopher friends, facing his end not as a defeated emperor, but as a true philosopher. With Julian's death, his religious revolution died with him. He had no chosen successor, and the army, in a state of panic, hastily elected a Christian officer named Jovian as the new emperor. Jovian immediately reversed all of Julian's religious policies, restoring the privileges of the Christian church. Julian's brief but dramatic reign represents a major turning point in Western history. He was the last emperor to seriously challenge the Christianization of the Roman Empire. His failure marked the end of any realistic hope for a pagan restoration. After him, paganism quickly faded, and within a generation, Emperor Theodosius would make Christianity the official state religion, outlawing all other forms of worship. So why does Julian still fascinate us today? He was a philosopher king, an intellectual on the throne who tried to use his power to reshape society according to his vision. He represents the road not taken, a glimpse into a world where the ancient traditions of Europe might have survived and evolved in a different way. He was a man fighting against the tide of history, and while he ultimately lost his story, is a powerful reminder that the future is never set in stone, and that the ideas of a single individual can for a brief moment change the course of an empire. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's most compelling characters. See you in the next video.